Welcome into episode 2 of the Screaming Eagle, a father-son podcast. I'm Nick Kloss alongside my father, Eric Kloss. And last week we got our first episode. There's been a lot of great support. So thank you so much. If you've watched, if you've followed us on any of our social media, it's been really cool to already see people following along, whether it's 50 or 75 people at all. It's just, we very much appreciate it with getting this started and everything. So, thank you so much. Just wanted to start with that. And now we get to the sad part, which is our team, our hockey team, which is just not doing great. And I have different opinions on that. My dad has different opinions on that. We are still going to talk the quote unquote playoff push. I think you can put a question mark next to that. But so, Dad, I'll bring you in now. We had 3 games since our last episode. We post every Thursday. Boston, 3-1 loss. Matinee, shocker. Calgary 7-3 win with still some things to gripe about a lot. And then the 4-1 loss to Philly last night, which was very disappointing, especially with the way you start. You get that Leno shot, and yeah, and I'll have more on that too. But Dad, you start us off. What your takeaways from the week on the Caps? Like I said, don't address the playoff push yet. We'll get to that. But what are your just takeaways? Also,
Sure.
post Carlson and Dowd and Lilligren getting his first.
Right. And that's we did have a trade episode, trade deadline episode as well. And so we talked a little bit about those trades that happened. Last night was the first game for Lilligren, so that was exciting to see him at least get to play, and hopefully David Kampf will have an opportunity soon to play in that fourth line center spot,
Yeah,
probably
he's
in
got
place of
he's got visa
Lapierre.
visa issues right now, so they're working on
Right,
that stuff right now. But
right.
because he was playing in Canada.
Right. So starting with the Boston game, I mean, again, I think that you'll see that I've come across a couple of different general themes about all 3 games. And I think the Boston game, I felt like there were a couple of times where, again, it's just miscues. I mean, we're a veteran, we've got some veteran players. Granted, Leonard's going to make some mistakes occasionally, and he's a but we've got some veteran players just make mistakes, miscues. Playing a puck kind of maybe in an aggressive way, that's putting us in a vulnerable position, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is Carberry's style, his system is really based on, it's kind of a aggressive protection process. You want to do the right thing, do the thing. I just feel like yeah, it's forecheck and it's keeping it in your zone and all those kinds of things, but it's not making aggressive decisions that would put you in a position of vulnerability. And I think in Boston we did that. Their second and third goals were based on that. Certainly the second one. The middle period of the the Calgary game was atrocious. I mean, these were just horrible miscues, and position where they, obviously got 3 goals and tied it up. And thank God we were able to kind of turn that around in the fourth. The good side of the Calgary game is we saw McMichael get 2 goals, good, not very nice snipes, which I hopefully, instills him with a little bit of confidence. Leonard scored, that kind of cascaded into the Flyers game with him scoring in the first period. Last night, I just got to say, I was disappointed. I mean, I just felt it wasn't just, whether it was miscues or not. It was an issue of, it just felt lackluster, just very lackluster play. I didn't feel the desperation, and I thought this was a must win, and it just didn't look like it on the ice. So I think that was disappointing. But again, there were some miscues, and I think that's a consistent problem. Um, Last night was the other part. I mean, this is why we wanted a first or second line winger. We have a problem converting high danger chances. We had high danger chances last night that we did not convert. Okay. And somehow that has to change. You cannot go to the playoffs if you're not converting high danger chances. And our percentage is horrible. So I think that's been very disappointing. Stop going through the middle. Our defensemen are passing the puck to a forward in the middle. Well, what does that mean? Turnover straight back on the goalie, right? And so, I mean, we've just to be more deliberate about our passing, and I just don't see that. I see a kind of a very haphazard approach to the game on the ice. Um, I'd like to see a lot heavier game. Again, when we're best is when we establish the forecheck and stay in the other guy's zone. Um, so, I think those are my comments. Certainly turn it over to you for what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously saw a lot of the same things. I think a lot of the problems with those miscues from veteran players. I think Jacob Chikrin has been he's an overly aggressive guy. We know that. He's offensive minded. He leads the NHL. Actually, I don't know if he still does. I have to check. But in NHL, a top two at least defenseman in goals in the NHL. So he is an offensive minded guy. He's going to push up, he's going to make those aggressive moves. But too many times now have they resulted in opportunities the other way. The thing that really made me angry in the Philly game was the Zegras bar down with Tippett back and forth 2-on-0 kind of with Protas on a back check. How many times power play, not 5-on-5, whatever it is, are you going to get into a situation where you're giving the team a breakaway or a 2-on-0 or whatever the other way?
Right.
It's happened
Right.
way too often. It's been, and I'm not blaming that fully on Chikrin. There's other players have made the
Mhm.
same mistake, but
Sure.
Chikrin has been the recent one I'm picking on
Right.
because he's made these overly aggressive moves that I think have not worked out for us at all. And then also you see how good he can be with that Boston goal. He's an amazing defenseman. And that's why with the John Carlson trade, yes, we very sad to lose John. Yeah, but what I told you when we were just chatting was we have a top defenseman in the league. We have a top offensive defenseman in the league. So John can move on and be that for another team. And we got Cole Hudson coming up who could be here by next week. He's playing BU for an update for everyone. Plays BU on Saturday, or plays for BU on Saturday against UConn at 1. And that's the quarterfinals. So if they lose that, he's done. Obviously, they could go on a run. They need to make the tournament to get in. They need to win the tournament, the conference one, to get into the NCAA, which isn't looking likely for them. So you have Cole Hudson, another great offensive. Looking at his brother, you're hoping that's his projection. So with the Carlson trade, I think that was okay because you have that talent, but you can't give up defensive responsibility for just pure offense. And I think Chikrin probably feels a ton of pressure to score because, like you said, we don't have a top six winger. We don't convert high danger chances. Actually, one of our best goal scorers is a defenseman. So I could totally see
Mhm.
that Chikrin has pressure on himself to put the
Right.
puck in the back of the net because
Right.
no one
Right.
else is. So he's got
Right.
to be more aggressive. So it's
Right.
I'm kind of
But it's
teetering
a
both sides right now because
right.
it's really difficult. I understand that, but you're our top guy, you're a top pair guy. You need
Right.
to be a little bit more reliable on the defensive end, and everyone's got to be more responsible when working with the puck
Right.
at the blue line.
Right. But it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I looked at the line last night. Our top defenseman, Jacob Chikrin, was a -4 on the plus minus. A -4. That's a defenseman. The next one is
That's
-1.
disgusting.
That's right. I mean, that's outrageous. And so it's like that to me is like, and again, don't want to pick on Jacob. We're not taking this, because it's him alone. The team owns the responsibility for
The
this,
team's in a
okay?
rough spot too. The team's in a
But
weird
yeah,
spot. I mean, we lost a
absolutely,
huge
absolutely.
part of our heart. Like we
Yeah,
went, as someone said on
sure.
Twitter, on X. I'm sorry I can't reference it because I can't think about it. But someone said like the Caps took one of the best locker room cultures there was, and in one day, Chris Patrick disintegrated it. And it really does feel that way, and it sucks. But I hit most of what I just hit was the Philly game, but I think it kind of resonates with every game we've played and a lot of the games we've played this season. I think the Boston game was very, very similar in that 3-1 loss. Calgary, no offense to Calgary, but everyone knows like they just sold Nazem Kadri. They're in a rebuild. They're trying to get back to a good spot. They're
Mm.
awful. They're not good. And we let them score 2 goals on our penalty kill. We won 7-3. That's fantastic, but I don't care. Like you
Mm.
won that because they were just an inferior team that's not as good as
Well,
you guys.
when was the last time you saw two shorties on a single power play?
I don't
On a
know.
single
I
power
think you'd
play.
have
I
to
mean,
look up when it happened last. Like
that's right.
sincerely do not know. I don't think I've ever seen it in my life as a hockey fan. It's only been 22
Right.
years, but I don't recall it. I mean, it's just it's historically bad. It's
Mhm.
historically bad. I mean, you could say like no, the numbers aren't there. Watch it. Watch it.
Mhm.
It's bad.
Right.
It is a
Right.
tough watch. It was great for Ryan Leonard to get that power play goal though, I will say,
Right.
because I think he's the future of the power play. He's young, he's made plenty of mistakes. We know that, but
Mhm.
um as we get into the playoff push, I have more on that. So I think that kind of recaps what those games are. What do you have any final?
Yeah, I mean the one thing I would say is, there's this term, often in hockey where, some players are just passengers. And there are times when I feel that with the Caps. You need more people showing up and making an impact on the game. And so I do think sometimes I look at some of the players, and again, Ovi's a different creature because at some point he just ends up getting a snipe or something else, and he does have an impact on the game physically. He has an impact on the game, so that's very rare to see him have some type of impact on the game. But we do need to see people stepping up. Beauvillier, um, Lapierre has had some success recently, but again, players on this team need to um, show up a little bit more. They can't be passengers. Every game has to be 110% effort. And again, not to say that they're not trying. I understand they're trying, but I mean, it's a visibility issue, right? I mean, at the end of the day, did I feel like this guy? I saw a lot of this guy or that guy. So, and again, I don't want to be too critical about it, because the team bears the burden of the of the losses, overall. So that's what I would
That's true.
say.
I mean, the team does bear the losses of what the GM did. I mean, that's the truth of it. Like they said, Nick Dowd and John Carlson's message to the team was like, "You're still in this,
Mhm.
keep going,"
Right,
because they believed in them and they believed in that
right,
group and they believed in each other.
right.
But you do also have to live with the fact that your front office did decide to sell. And
Mhm.
according to Elliot Friedman on his 32 Thoughts podcast, apparently Washington pushed back a lot to the said no multiple times, but then the Ducks came with a offer they basically couldn't
Right,
refuse, which was
right,
the first that we got.
right.
And like I said, I think we talked about it. The deal is fantastic. It really
Mhm.
is. It's a great deal. And I think I'll let that bring us into the playoff push because what my point on the playoff push is, I mean, we're cooked, in my opinion. We're done. Like, we're not going to the playoffs. It's not happening. I don't think this team has the resolve for it. I think kind of this trade deadline really did stick a fork in us in a way. We were already struggling. We lost that Utah game, which kind of put ended it and made the front office apparently decide that they wanted to sell. But as I said with the Friedman thing, guess that may not have been the first thought. So that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. But regardless, it happened and that really affected us. And I think it's just this season is not it. And every decision we've watched Washington make has been for the future, and the draft the trade deadline were picks for the future and assets we could use and stuff like that and freeing up cap space. And so for me to keep my sanity, and I think to keep Caps fan sanity as well, I think you need to start we're rooting for the draft dip. We're hoping, we're looking to the future. Now we're thinking about, all right, how well can Ryan play down the stretch? Let's really watch him. Let's watch Justin. Hopefully he can spark down the stretch, gain even more confidence. Maybe let's get Ilya up, Andrew up, Cristal, get them some time because what else are we doing at this point? We have to look to the future. That's what seems the front office wants to do, so I think we have to do it. This season we're not going to the playoffs. It's not happening. Now, whether
Yeah.
Ovi leaves or doesn't, we don't know. The bones of this team are very good. The bones of this team are very good. We just need to add some little pieces around it. And I think our young talent is fantastic. And I have so much excitement for the post Ovi era, even though it's going to be so sad and so hard. I'm really excited for what this team can be and what this can build to and the young players that are coming up. So for me, for my sanity, Caps fans, I'm switching my focus to next year. This is about next year. Our future guys, our next, Willie and all those guys and Chicky and Thompson and Leno and Hudson and Roy, this new era, Strom, Dubois, thinking about watching them, seeing how they progress because next year is the year we get back to it and I think it's the it's the way I need to think about it because I truly just don't believe the playoffs are in the cards.
Right. Well, so I haven't wove the wove the flag or waved the flag yet. So it's 16 games. Again, uh, you got to win some for the 2 points, and you got to point on some of them. I'd like to see a run. I mean, again, it's like you guys 2 years ago. Oshie, they were doing this on the game last night in the intermissions. Oshie, scores a goal, against the Flyers that takes us into the playoffs, on the last game of the year. And so, yeah, I know it's crazy. It's maybe a bit naive. We're not a team that's going to tank, right? I mean, we're not going to tank for a draft pick, right? I
No,
mean, that's not going to
and that's
happen.
not what I'm
So,
saying they would do
no,
in
no,
any
no. And I
way.
know that.
I'm just
No,
saying that if we lose, I'm
absolutely.
not, I'm stopping being
Right,
upset
right.
about it because hey, we're looking to next year.
Right. Absolutely. And I totally get that. I mean, I do think so tonight's important, Buffalo. And obviously Boston on Saturday. I think Boston's almost more important in some ways. I'm not saying, it's going to be good if we lose to Buffalo, but they are the hottest team in the NHL right now. So that's going to be a challenge, right, in their house. But the Boston game obviously is 4 point game, right? And so the Boston game, I think, is more important. Can we afford to lose 2 games out of the remaining 16? Probably, possibly.
I just looked at the standings just to like check it out while you're talking.
Sure.
Oh my God, it looks bleaker than I thought. Boston's at 78 points. They've played 64
Yeah.
games. We have 71. We've played 66.
Right.
Also, I have to bring this up. I posted this on the Screaming Eagle Twitter, but there was a 5-on-5 goal tweet from Daily Faceoff, and it's most goals at 5v5 in the NHL, teams leading at 5v5 goals. In first place, you have the Colorado Avalanche, wagon.
Right. Right.
Buffalo Sabres, wagon. Tampa
Hmm.
Bay Lightning, playoff team.
Hmm.
Carolina Hurricanes, good playoff team. Montreal
Hmm.
Canadiens, good playoff team. The Washington Capitals,
Sixth. Yeah.
7 points
Yeah.
out of a playoff spot. And then behind them is the Utah Mammoth, who are in a wild card spot in the West.
Right. Right. Right.
Think about that.
No. Yeah. No. I mean, again, I think we have a great 5-on-5 team. I mean, we've been able to show that actually when
Can
we
you
play our.
refuse power plays? Can you refuse power plays? We need to look
Yeah.
into it. If so, I'm
Right.
not
Right.
like this power play. It has just. I feel like our power play have a minus on the season? Like I know it actually doesn't, but it feels like it could. And honestly, it's probably closer than it ever should be in
Well,
a million
so
years.
at the end of the day, being number one in shorthanded goals against you is not a good thing. Okay, that's not a good thing. So yeah, that's just unfortunate. But going back to the playoff push, the question I really have is, can you continue to pursue wins while recognizing that if Lapierre's not cutting it, and I don't mean to use those terms, but um, when you have people in Hershey like Andrew Cristal and like Ilya Protis that have done so well, is it time with 16 games left to give them a shot at, Ilya playing center, bringing Cristal up and giving him a game, on that third line. And now is, with 16 games left, I want to win. Want to win, but at the same time, is it an appropriate time And again, we'll find out. Maybe if we lose one or two, then it's the time to say, let's bring Ilya up, let's bring Kristall up. Let's see how these guys can perform at the NHL level. There may be some reasoning that people are saying, well, let's give them an opportunity to push, and then we know these guys are coming next year. But at the same time, I mean, I'd like to see a glimpse of that, right? And people are going to be looking at, what's going to look like? What's Ilya going to look like? Are these guys, as advertised or not? And then, I just kind of doing an exercise. I was looking up, UFAs that are available this summer that are good at converting high danger chances, right? And so, people like Mason Marchmont, Anders Lee, Patrick Line. I mean, these are UFAs that are available this summer. Now, again, I'm just saying this is a weakness that I think I've identified over a year, is that this high danger chance issue is pretty big for our team. We need to find a forward that is found success. Jason Robertson's another one from Dallas
I was
that may
gonna
be on
say
the market.
the name I really like is Jason Robertson.
Right,
That's kind of
right,
the only name I
exactly.
saw on there that was like popped to a level that we can, because we have money. That's the
Right.
thing. We have money. It's not a
Yeah.
concern. We can go after someone. So if that's the case, like Jason Robertson's the only guy where I'm like, okay, like I would give him a bag and feel happy about it because he's one of the top goal scorers in the
Mhm.
NHL right now, and I think he's a top three
Right.
American who got gypped on being the on the Olympic team. So like
Right.
I think he's
Right.
really the only like splash player that I've seen. And like
Hmm.
I don't have that much interest in Patrick Line. I mean, he's hopped around so much. I don't think that would help us at all. Um, and to just go off of you talking about bringing up kids, Ted Starkey, who writes for Hockey Hot Stove, tweeted yesterday Washington isn't even bringing up the kids from Hershey for a taste of low pressure hockey. So, really baffling handling of this roster continues. And my response was the one thing the trade line taught us, we have absolutely no clue at all what this front office is thinking and what their plan is. We have nothing. And
Right.
his response was exactly what we said. Even when they say what they want to do, it isn't what they do. It's not even close. So it's
Right.
hard because I'd love to see
Right.
Ilya. I love to see Andrew. Part of me, I've told you this, I have worries that they're just going to send Cole to Hershey because I just
Yeah.
don't
Sure.
trust them. I could see them being like, well, it's a wash. Let's just send him and get him some good AHL experience and go for go for the cup,
Calder Cup.
the Calder
Calder
Cup.
Cup. Right.
Get him some playoff experience. Like I could totally see
Yeah.
that being a thing,
Well,
and I just worry about it because it's the truth. We just do not know what this front office wants to do, and we have no idea what they're thinking.
right. No, I mean, I think everything you're saying is right, and part of the Jason Robertson and all of that, the high danger chance issue is are Kristall and Ilya Protas an answer to that issue? Can they convert high danger chances? I do believe that Ilya has had great history this year in the
Well,
AHL, and
when you
um,
set a record that was like what
right,
70 something years old for
right,
most goals by a rookie in Hershey, like Hershey's a historic
or a
AHL
franchise, yeah,
franchise, like
right,
historic. To
right.
do that is extremely impressive, and it just so shows you that they have not been looking at call ups like talent. Like it's not who's playing the best. Let's bring them up. That is not how they're looking at it. I
No,
don't
look
know
at they brought
how
up
they're
Mir they
looking
brought
at
up
it though.
Miro. They brought up Miro. I
And well,
mean,
they also brought
they
up Bogdan.
Mhm.
Like and I'm sorry, but like Ilya's better, and so is Andrew than both of those guys. I'm personally, my feelings on this. I'm not a Miro guy. I've never
Mhm.
felt he's really impressed me. He doesn't look like that high quality of a player. Maybe it was him. I think he started under Laviolette, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago was when he started to get some games.
That because I don't know if he started under Laviolette, that one would make sense
Well,
because he
like,
didn't get
yeah,
developed very well early because
right.
he was basically pushed aside and scratched all the time because Laviolette didn't want to play him, or was that McMichael? I might be getting so mixed up.
That no, that was
That
McMichael.
was McMichael. Okay,
I
because
think
Miro was Carberry era.
yeah, Miro got small number of games the first year with Carberry. Then last year
Yep,
he
you're
had
right. I'm
kind of
thinking of
maybe
McMichael
20.
with Laviolette
Yeah,
scarred us on prospects. So
McMichael.
I'm thinking McMichael when that happened, and we were
Right,
all like, "What are
right,
you doing?" So yes, that was
right,
sorry, that was
right,
PTSD.
right.
But yes, Miro, everything we've seen from him, like I just have not seen the sparks. I haven't seen like people are talking crazy. Like he's our left wing replacement for Ovi.
But over, right, right. Well, that's what
No,
I'm saying. It's like
no, he's not. He's not even
we have
close.
to, we have to find, and again, Ovi
And I wish
wasn't the
all the
king
best
of,
to Miro. I hope he has a
yeah,
great career and
right,
I hope he really finds
right.
it. I just do not
But
see.
Ovi wasn't the king of converting high danger chances either, right? He was just a sniper. Okay.
I would say that's
Um,
converting high danger chances.
well,
Have you seen it? He scored breakaways like all the time.
no,
Watch his
that's true.
highlights for
That's
the
true.
first
Well,
11
that's
years of
true.
his
Okay,
career.
that's true. But let me just say it this way.
You're negating the first
I
13 years
agree
of
with
his
what you
career for the
right,
last
right,
like
right.
5 where he's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
slow.
no, that's true. True. I agree that um, Miro is not the answer to what I described, which is if our problem is we need a forward converting high danger chances, I don't think Miro's the answer to that. And
Oh,
again, I'm
we
not
can't
sure.
wait around for McMichael to become that guy. Like you said, it was great to have those 2 goals against Calgary, but eventually these things need to become consistent. Like they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have to become consistent. And that's why you need to go out and get someone from the outside because it's showing no one on
right,
the inside right now is capable. And
right,
if we
right.
just year in, year out are like, no, we're developing, kind of like almost a
Yeah,
college football mindset or old school
right,
college football mindset, of just,
right,
no, we're going to develop our guys and bring them up. Like that's
right.
not working. Like
Yeah,
Connor is a great third, second line winger guy, but he's not going to be your first line 50 goal scoring winger or something. Not to say like
right,
we're inevitably getting a 50 goal
right,
scoring winger, but
right.
it's just you need to get someone who can be that firepower because yes, Ov is still a spark. Yes, he puts goals in the back of the net, but we need a guy that can take a defensive draw and
Yeah.
has the legs and all that stuff. And as we always say, we love Ovi. It's just, his body's starting to give.
Well, just to wrap up on the playoff push. So, I mean, here's the other thing with tonight, and I think it was said last night. Charlie Lindgren's going to be in, and what you want to see from this team is that we need to see an effort. I mean, Charlie has been hung out to dry in these back to backs, and we need to see a defense that's going to support this goalie. And Logan has been playing lights out. I mean, if our defense was more solid, we'd have a shot at the playoffs right now. There's no doubt in my mind we'd have a shot because we've got one of the best goalies in the NHL right now. But you've got to provide defensive support, not
And
make
mhm.
miscues.
And that's part of why, from my side of the playoff perspective push, which is we're looking to next year. That exactly. We have an amazing goalie. We have a Vesna caliber goalie that was on Team Canada on the Olympic team. We have Tom Wilson. We have a lot of great talent. We have young guys. We have Ryan Leonard who was a steal, I think, based on where we picked him, to be honest. So the future is so bright. And you're right, we do have that. And I agree. If we were able to make the playoffs, I think Logan Thompson could have gotten hot, and you never know what can happen. But we're not there, and he can't win us every game to get us into the playoffs. And when you can only put up a goal, like I get it, we got 7 against Calgary. That's an outlier to me. That almost doesn't even count.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
but you look at Boston 3-1, Philly
Mhm.
4-1. So
Right.
yes, you're right. Also, the defense is bad, but also it's like
Got to
two
put the
years
puck in
ago.
the net.
When the Caps
Got
can't
to put the
hold
puck
you
in
to
the net.
under 2, you're screwed.
Mhm.
Like the Caps are screwed. It's like 2 years ago. Except 2 years ago we got very lucky. We stayed right in the fight, and we
Mhm.
controlled our destiny then.
Mhm.
We do not at
Yeah,
all this year. Not even
yeah,
close.
yeah,
We're not even in
yeah.
it really. So
Now I do want to I do want to put a call into the NHL for why do we have 3 games in a hand to every team in the whole. NHL. I mean, I
Was it
don't
was it last year
understand
it was the
what.
opposite, or is it last year it was the same?
Well, it's
Do we
always been
always
within the.
is it like we
It's
always, I
always.
forget if we always get this or we used to
Yeah.
always get the opposite.
No, no, we usually get the opposite. I mean,
Yeah, we usually
usually,
play less and
yeah,
we're always behind,
yeah.
which is good.
But it's usually just a game. I mean, it's 3 games, which makes this, in some cases insurmountable for us because you've got teams. We're at 60, what, 65, 66,
I
right?
mean, we
And
for some reason they gave us the most loaded, like they gave us the most games because we're the only team at 66 right now. There was a time where we were the only team at 60. Like we've consistently played the most games in the NHL all year.
yeah, yeah.
It
So
is
I know.
weird. It's an odd scheduling thing.
But that
Um,
makes it all the more challenging for us as we get towards the playoff push. But like I said, I know your opinion, and I'm good, with the idea that we do need to play our prospect, need to kind of look at like what does this team look like next year. So I do want to see Cole Hudson here. I'd like to see Ilya and Andrew Cristall here. Down the stretch. But I do think the next 3 games are really going to be the indicator of what that looks like. Because, again, if they lose the next 2 out of 3, then yeah, you're probably kind of hanging up your your good wishes about them making the playoffs and kind of conceding that, okay, let's just kind of see what we've got with all these other guys, right? I
Hey,
mean, again,
I'm gonna hope we
um,
win every game. I just I don't
yep,
think it's
yep,
gonna happen.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
okay, so now we'll
So,
get into our next
okay.
part, which we debated a little bit there, but this is kind of gonna be our screaming debate for the week. I posted a video yesterday. I posted actually videos over the past 2 days addressing the Rasmus Dahlin situations, the Hagel sucker punches, and the Nathan MacKinnon 5 minute major and ejection that happened. So a little around the NHL here too. But I texted my dad my opinion on the MacKinnon hit and stuff. He did not agree at all. So we got into a little bit of a texting debate and then we said, "Hey, let's hold it and talk about this tomorrow." I think I'll let you go because I'll just say my baseline is I think it was way too harsh to give him an ejection. Double minor if you want, minor for goaltender interference. It was goaltender interference. It was
Right.
straight up,
Hmm.
totally. He
Hmm.
couldn't get out of the way. He went through the goalie. That's goaltender interference.
Well,
A
I think
major and
so.
a
So one,
misconduct's insane, but go.
right. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of bring this into all 3 things that have come up recently, right? So Malkin slashes Darlene, gets a 5 game suspension. And then you have the incident with the sucker punch. Can't remember the player. I'm sorry, Nick. Who was the player that.
Brandon Hagel was the one who was punching.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. With again Darlene, um, and then um, and then the MacKinnon thing. So the one thing I think I would say is, and this may not be true, but I feel like there is a little bit of a thread here. Towards the end of the season, I think players tend to be a little bit more liberal, and the referees start maybe they clamp down a little bit harder because they're trying to make sure that that doesn't bleed into the game, right? Certainly the Malkin slash can't tolerate that 5 game suspension, right? I mean, slash by the face, really not good at all. Again, Hagel with the sucker punching, you really don't want to, that kind of fight.
And
There's
I've said the Hagel part for me is when he gets pulled down and then
right, right,
continues to sucker punch into the back of the head, which is
right,
like if you've played sports, if you played fighting sports, like
right,
it's such a no-no,
right,
like such a
right.
not good, very dangerous.
But
Um,
Bush
Yes,
League.
very, I think
Yeah,
what Brandon Hagel did was Bush League as hell. Like
right,
you have a guy. Obviously, what I posted too was asking people why is it Rasmus Dahlin? Why both of those times is it
Yeah.
Rasmus
Right.
Dahlin? There has
Yeah.
to be, that's the common factor between multiple incidents. People also commented there's a Matthews incident that's happened before. There's a Marchand one. Now, I will say the Marchand one is a guy who is not out of character for that. Hagel, honestly, not that much either. He's a tougher guy. You know, he'll fight, he'll scrap
Mhm.
around. Um, but so there's been many, many incidences with Rasmus Dahlin. And so from what I hear, he's just, he's a guy who he'll give you good cross checks in the ribs and he'll play that chippy game around, but he's not a fighter. So he's gonna do all those little things, but he's not gonna fight you when you try to come at him. He's gonna back up.
Yeah,
So,
right,
and I can totally see why that frustrates people and frustrates
right,
other teams and other players.
right,
But Brandon Hagel stepped so far over the line. It's crazy.
right,
I understand tough hockey. I understand roughing. But once you
right,
hold on to him for a solid 20 seconds, he still has not engaged. Then you start pulling him. Then you start swinging. Then you pull him to the ground and keep swinging. Like there were
right.
multiple incidences in that interaction that, yeah, I think it went from minor, okay, major, okay, oh, ejection. Like in that I
Yeah,
think there was
right, right, right,
escalations, and it
right.
wasn't
Yeah,
it wasn't taken that way, and so that
yeah,
shocked me.
yeah.
He got a 5K
Right.
fine and a minor, and so that just
Mhm.
shocked me. I whatever, it's the call, and the thing is, and then people are like, that it's soft. That it's soft that you think that it's soft that Darlene's a whatever. Okay, now let's talk about the goaltender interference. Obviously,
Yeah.
different situations. I'm not going to say they're not different situations. Slashing to a head after a whistle and sucker
Mhm.
punching after a whistle in a roughing situation, different things than a goaltender interference.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if a game and ejection, if a 5 minute major and an ejection is for that goaltender interference, how is sucker punching a guy repeatedly in the back of the head
Right.
a minor and a fine?
Right. So we talked about this too, Ash, right? I mean, you're arguing a consistency point, and I won't
Yes, I think
disagree with you.
that's more my issue. It's just how
Right.
can you look at that
Right.
and be like, "Oh no,
So,
that's cool. We're fine with that."
right.
But that we can't tolerate. It's like, well,
Right.
one was
Right.
involved
So,
in a hockey play, actually
right.
playing hockey, and one was to the other
Right.
two were not at all.
Right.
The other one, I should say the
Yes.
other one, because the Malkin one did get a suspension and was
Right.
taken care
Right.
of.
So the consistency, I don't disagree with you. And again, I think that's, you're trying to do apples to apples with the McKinnon play versus the Hagel.
And not everything's
Okay,
comparable.
so again, that's a question mark. Now, again, you are right. It is a hockey play. So this is not a fight situation. This is not a stick, a stick violation, whatever you want to call that, right? So my thing with that particular play is there is a marginal impression that he could have avoided the goalie. Okay. I think when I look at it, I don't think he tried to avoid the goalie at all. And I think that's part of my concern. And I think that at this time of the season, they're a little bit concerned about a player that doesn't limit his speed going towards, in this case, from the side through the crease. To me, I don't feel like there was, and there was a player that was touching him, but it wasn't, I feel, noticeable enough to alter him. I didn't see anything that told
To
me
be to
he
be
was
a major
trying
though,
to.
to be a major.
Right, right. I think
Like
the
in my
ejection
head, a
is
goaltender
the
interference major is I went after the goal and I blew through him. I did not change anything. I went right through him. Other than that,
so
anything that is not purposeful should not be a major in misconduct. Major in misconduct is meant for things that should not be in the game. Things like the Hagel situation.
yeah.
This was
I
a hockey play. Nathan McKinnon's a very, very fast player. That's not his fault. He goes at the net. Nurse comes in, slightly clips him. If you look from the overtop view, he is slightly trying to go. Like I said, he doesn't. And you are, as a player, you are responsible for doing everything you can possibly can to not hit the
To
goalie.
avoid the
And I
goalie. Yeah.
totally get that he did not do
Right.
everything he could. He didn't, he
Right.
could have plopped the other way. He could have tried and Nurse hits him and then maybe it's a little more obvious. But like just looking at it, you look at it from the top, he makes a slight
Right.
push, hits by Nurse, goes straight through him. So I just think there's enough of a slight attempt and it's not purposeful and it's a hockey play that, yeah, a minor, or I don't even know if you can give a double minor for that. Or maybe if it's a major and a misconduct has to happen, like it can't just be a major. It has to be both, which there I know in youth hockey, I ref youth hockey, there are those things. There are certain penalties if you call it, it has to go with a misconduct or game misconduct. And so I don't know if that's that rule, but it's just
So here,
it's hard.
so
It's
so
hard for me to think like, oh, he was playing
right,
a hockey play and he got kicked out of the game. Brandon Hagel played the rest of that game.
right. No, I agree
It
with you
doesn't
on
make
the ejection.
sense.
Yeah, ejection. I'm not sure
Like
about.
you
I
said,
will say,
consistency. And yeah,
yeah,
and that's the thing where we
right.
do kind of agree is I don't the injection is just kind of crazy. I will say someone
Well, the
commented
only
something
thing I
kind of
will
funny.
say,
Someone did comment something
right.
kind of funny where it's saying it was his karma for missing the open net in the gold medal game against Canada. It's like I was like, hey, that honestly, yeah, that makes me feel better about it.
The yeah. So and again, Nick, we've talked about this before. You've played hockey. I have not. I'm not probably even very good on skates. There is obviously, a perception that it's a lot harder to avoid contact sometimes than the observer, my casual observer, fan position is. Um, but I think what I would add is that there's purposeful and there's intentional. So I don't think it was purposeful. I think his intention was to go through the crease. I do believe he made a significant effort to avoid going through the crease. He was at a rate of speed.
But
He did
but
not
Darnell
slow
Nurse
down.
is crashing into him. Like he
And
fell. He was sliding into him.
yeah, but he barely touched
But
McKinnon
he
because
does touch him. But he
by the
does touch
time
him and
Nurse was,
affect
yeah,
his where he's going. And so
I, I
that's the thing
understand.
is I don't get how you can. So they called in a major, and they do this. I call NLL, which is National Lacrosse League, box
Right.
lacrosse, which has a lot of similar rules. And in the NLL, they will call just like NHL a 5 minute major, and then they'll try and bring it down. They'll call it because they can all because if they call a 5 minute, they can review it and bring it down.
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of times you'll see them call it, at least in the NLL, not as much in the NHL, call the major just so they can look
Mhm.
and then they can make it a minor if they need to. So
Determine. Yeah.
and I
Right.
think even the announcers in the game were kind of surprised when it
Right.
got elevated, like when it stuck
Mhm.
the major and went higher. Like I think people were surprised with that. And I was, and yeah, I agree. But the thing is, you're not alone. There's plenty. I believe me. Our TikTok says there's plenty of people who disagree with me. So it's just the
Mhm.
truth, and a lot of people have
Right.
different
Right.
opinions on it. I'm sure the aspect of playing hockey and not maybe makes a difference for some people, but also I think it. I don't know. It also very much depends on what side you were on. I said to you, I said, a Caps player does that, you don't care. You're like, no way, that's a major into misconduct. And I think you said no, that's not true, which I think there's truth to both in the fact that I think you would have still fully thought it was goaltender interference. I think you just wouldn't have been as okay. We wouldn't have been
Right. Well, I
okay with
mean,
the major
right.
and
So,
ejection,
right. And so
or at
anytime,
least the
even when,
ejection. Like I said, I do not know if
right.
those
Right.
have to be connected.
Right.
I
And
can look
that's what
that
I
up
was going to
actually.
say is the reality is if it's your own team, um, you want consistency. That's all you want. You want consistency. And so the issue for that would be, yeah, in the context of what you're describing, if it was Tom Wilson, of course I'd be annoyed, right? Because it's like, well, wait a second, what, Hagel, nothing happened here. And, I mean, come on, right? So I think that's the issue as a fan is you just want consistency from the refs. And I don't think I'm any different than most fans from that perspective. It's like, um, I think, we consistently are reevaluating how much we actually love the offsides rule or a whole range of things. I mean, I honestly liked having a lot more goals. I don't like them challenging everything. It's like as a fan, you slow down the game, you make it
Well,
less
and as
interesting.
Caps fans,
You
we're just
know,
on the wrong end. We're on the wrong end of challenges a lot. I mean, how many times did Carlson have goals just pulled? He could have had, I think, 5 or 6 more goals this year, but it just kept on getting
right, right. But I
called
mean, but
back.
again, I heard some announcers. I heard some announcers last night. I think it was, Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin saying, again, it's like it's incumbent on the players not to go off sides. I mean, if you're a little bit more deliberate and meticulous with your thinking, you think of those things, and so how much of it is really on the players, right? And so is it really the ref's fault that they're getting these things, in these particular situations, right? So but yeah, no, I think we've always had, Nick, our challenges. I grew up in with the Broad Street Bullies and saw a lot of fighting and a lot of
Yeah,
physicality
you
and everything
flip
else.
flop on
So
that.
they've reduced a
you
lot of
you flip flop on that though. Sometimes you're all for it, and then sometimes you're like, there's no place for it in the
well,
game. And it usually
I
depends
want
on if it's happening to the
right. I
Caps or
want
not.
to right. No, that's true. That's true. And
I mean,
but
but
I
the
want
thing
a
is,
heavy
everyone
game.
can
I
appreciate
want
that who's watching this because we're Caps fans, and that is
right.
usually where our bias is
Yeah.
going to go.
Sure,
100%.
absolutely. But I definitely I like a heavier game. I
Well,
just don't like
like
a
your roster,
mean game, right?
yeah, your roster management idea is
Yeah.
6'3" and up.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, I think these particular incidences do raise the issue of consistency, and certainly that's the message to
Yeah,
the NHL. It's like, okay, just tell us what from a consistent perspective you're going to do, because we just don't like the
yeah,
variation. Because as a fan, that the variation ultimately affects us,
yeah.
right? If it's
That's the part that's
against
just
our
so
team,
hard. Yeah, that's the part that was just so
right?
hard. It's just that like how is something that's just so out of the game, not
Right,
necessary, not supposed to be there, was treated with
right,
such a slap on the wrist, and then something that is involved in hockey and it happens and it's a thing, and it was given like the book. It was just kind of crazy to me. All right. Well, that was the screaming debate. And that was a good one. Little around the NHL today. Is now we will look to the next week and kind of just do a quick preview of that and everything. Like my dad said, we have the Sabres tonight. We're in Buffalo, and it sucks because we're literally playing maybe the hottest team in the NHL and not looking great there. And actually, I need to pull up what the rest of
well,
the week looks like. We got
Boston,
Buffalo, Boston, and Ottawa all by the next time we hop on.
right, and Boston is home game. I think it's a 3 o'clock game, which is kind of a matinee, not really a matinee. It's a little bit later in the
Gives them some
afternoon.
time to wake up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then Ottawa, and Ottawa's, I think, tied with us right now. So, again, both of those two, certainly we'd love all three, but two of those three are very important because they're either tied with us or they're ahead of us. And so, Ottawa, I think, but I think it's a game we can potentially win. Boston, going to be tough, but it's at home again. On these games at home, you got to jump in the first period. You got to get that first goal. You got to set the tone. If we do that, I think we can go through 3 periods and beat that team. So we'll see how we do. But tonight, Buffalo, and like I said, Charlie Lindgren in goal. I want to see this team support Charlie and get a win. Figure out a
Yeah,
way.
And Caps fans to stay sane, just watch the young guys. Remember, the future, it's bright. It is gonna be okay. But yeah,
That's
I
true.
don't know. I don't know about this one. But the thing with the Caps is you never know which Caps you're gonna get. And so we could get a great Caps tomorrow and play fantastic. And no, that's what we're all rooting for. And like you said, hopefully Charlie has a good game and isn't left out to dry in any way, which has been a tendency. Also, I think I'm gonna try to keep a little bit more of an eye tonight on Lilligren, see how he's playing, and I didn't really get to kind of really look at him, so I'm interested to see how he's fitting in. He didn't seem horrendous, but I didn't really get to focus on him. I was mostly just annoyed with everything else. But yeah, so it's just I think really focusing on how these young guys are doing, taking it game by game. Cole Hudson, like I said, could be with us by the 18th if they lose on Saturday. I don't know if he'd be playing, but he could be with the team, or we'll see what the front office decides to do. Because, like we said, we're all assuming Cole Hudson is going to come to the NHL. Well, we also all assumed we were going to go for a top six winger at the deadline. Didn't happen.
Right.
So I have no faith at all in them. Um, but yeah, so this week it'll be at Buffalo, then home for Boston and Ottawa. 12th, 14th, and 18th. And then we'll have another show on Thursday, and then we'll get to, the last 13 games of the year, I think.
Yeah, and next, maybe we can look at Hershey and kind of how they're doing down there. Look at some of their prospect stats and how they're doing, and kind of begin to preview what next year starts to look like with some of these guys that might be coming up.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I think we're gonna do. We'll try to get my dad and I maybe like a prospect ranking of the guys in our farm system who we think are the most valuable, and see if we have differing opinions on that or something. But because obviously, if we don't make the playoffs, we're still gonna do this and still gonna be talking what's going on. If Hershey's in the playoffs and on a run, we'll track them. We'll follow them. They're our AHL team, which I will say, I always say, how lucky were we to get the Hershey Bears? Like the most historic, awesome, amazing
Right.
AHL franchise there is our farm team, which is just awesome, and we have the best farm system I think in the NHL, and that's kind of a hands down thing for me. But we will talk more about those guys, and we'll hopefully follow that as they go on, and maybe we'll follow a Caps playoff run. Probably not, but we hope. So, Dad, anything final before we hop off here?
No, I'm just gonna say keep the faith. Keep the faith, man. All you got to do is remember Oshie, and 2 years ago, right? Last day, last game, securing a wild card spot, right?
Yep. Yep. It's the devil and
So,
the angel on your shoulder. One has faith, one doesn't. So, what you decide which way you want to go. All right. Well, this was the second episode of the Screaming Eagle, a father son podcast. Thank you so much for all your support and following and just tracking all over. We appreciate everything, every like, every view. It's just, we're really thankful to be doing this together. So, thanks for watching episode 2. We'll be back next Thursday. See ya.